What follows are excerpts from the book Islamic Revival in British India, Deoband, 1860 to 1900, by Barbara Daly Metcalf. Shah Wali'ullah hoped for the restoration of stable Muslim rule in which the ulama could play an important role. Unlike them, he explicitly analyzed the basis of the arrangement between ruler and the ulama and argued the necessity of their complementary functions and the need for proper balance between the two. The importance of political leadership was as self-evident to him as was the importance of religious leadership. Troubled by the disorder he saw around him, perhaps even sensing that he was at the end of an age, he sought to stem the tide of decline by consolidating and clarifying the entire body of Islamic tradition. Knowledge of the truth would bring Muslims to religious obedience that would end the divisions and deviations he so greatly deplored. He felt himself uniquely endowed by divine gifts for a task, as he understood it, never before attempted. His Hujjatullahul Baligha is a monument to his efforts to elucidate and enshrine the glorious intellectual tradition of the faith. Shah Wali'ullah's work was characterized by an insistence on the necessity of the study of hadith, a study that had been peripheral for most of the ulama. His work and the work of his family in this field placed the seal on India's reputation in hadith and decisively set the emphasis for many ulama who were to follow. Shah Wali'ullah explicitly denied the value of study of ma'qulat regarding those subjects as mere intellectual exercises and the source of confusion. The value, by contrast, of manqulat in bringing people closer to the central teachings of Islam was apparent. A final issue in Shah Wali'ullah's writings that attracted interest both in his time and after was his attitude towards the Shia. To some Sunnis, a particular provocation to divine displeasure in the 18th century was the ascendancy of the Shia, which culminated in the attempt of the Emperor Bahadur Shah to introduce Shi'i practices in the imperial court. Two of his most important successor states, Oudh and Bengal, were explicitly Shia. The Lucknow court of Oudh, whose independence can be dated from 1722, was a center of Shia culture, fostered by the nobility and stimulated by the influx of Iranians. In Hyderabad, even though the Nizam himself was Sunni, there was a marked increase of the Shia nobles in the 18th century. Among them, courtiers who had left places such as Mysore, Madras and Oudh, which were affected by the presence of the British. Some Sunnis have held that turning to Shia doctrine to be a response to decline, when man depends on things created instead of the creator, quote unquote. In this atmosphere, Shah Wali'ullah again sought unity and reconciliation, but he was not notably successful in persuading Shia or Sunni to accept this view or to be reconciled because of it. The Sunnis at least remember his personality as tolerant and generous in spirit. He also exemplified the ideal pattern of religious leader by being both saint and alim. As alim, he produced a prodigious body of scholarship, thanks in part to his regular habits, self-control, and great discipline. His work was a celebration of Islam, for he held that every injunction of the faith was of profit and value to man, invariably conducive to some worldly or spiritual interest. He exulted in his foreordained role of clarifying and systematizing the faith, for he believed himself to be a Fatih, the inaugurator of a new era. A fundamental orientation of his work, however, had been the hope that Muslim political leadership should be restored, with the ulama carrying on their collaborative role of teaching and advising the ruler of the state. His successors found that hope to be vain and rather acted as the internal caliphs to the extent that it was possible in a situation of alien rule. In so doing, they were indebted to Shah Wali'ullah for a manifold legacy, a sense of their importance as leaders, a commitment to the study of hadith and law, a model in personality and attainments, and the desire for unity based on religious obedience. At the time of Shah Wali'ullah's death in 1762, a pattern had been set for the activity of the ulama. That historical role of preserving the cultural heritage of the community in times of political uncertainty. There was then a new self-consciousness about the role and responsibility of the ulama.